author who has had an inspiring story herself battling physical life altering disease called lupus. Despite the plethora of times that she's been cut, poked, jabbed, hospitalized, and operated on, she has chosen to come out on top and made the decision to share her experiences and help others along the way in their journey battling lupus. When others may have thought that her story was over, it was truly just beginning. Just last year, she released her first novel entitled Flatline Almost Doesn't Count. Please help me in welcoming to the show tonight, Miss K.S. Oliver.
Hey, Nicole.
Hi. Welcome, 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 welcome.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know it's been a journey.
Yes.
For those of you out there who are familiar with the Atlanta city traffic and it literally has been a journey. And so we are truly appreciative of you being here and hanging in to get here.
Thank you.
So let's talk. We're talking tonight about being hot and on top. And you're hot. You just released your new book last year. How are things going with that?
It's good. And I released the second part this year, so that just went even better.
Wow.
So it's been good. It's been a road, but it's been good.
So let's talk about that storyline.
Oh.
Flatlined almost doesn't count. What is that all about?
Well, it goes over, just my journey with lupus, how I found out I had it, what I went through before finding out I had it, and, just kind of some of the things that people go through every day with trying to find out about health issues. Okay. It's like one day I woke up and I couldn't move a finger, and then it was a shoulder, and then you're constantly going back and forth to doctors and hospitals, and everybody's just like, oh, we don't see anything. What are you talking about? And it can be frustrating as a person because you're not a doctor, but you know your body better than they do. Yeah. So Flatline Almost Doesn't Count goes through my initial encounter with lupus. And I actually flatlined, and then that's how they told me that I had it. And this had been almost a year. My son was 10 months old, and everything started when I first had him. So it was a frustrating journey.
So for those of us who may be watching this show who are not familiar with lupus is an autoimmune disorder.
Right.
And so you said you didn't have any symptoms of lupus until after you had your son? Okay.
That's what I thought. But I also had my son early. So typically once we started placing the pieces of the puzzle together, it started somewhere around the middle of the pregnancy, where everything else started to go wrong. Okay, but I did have a 9-pound 8-ounce baby at 36 weeks, so it worked out one way or the other.
What a blessing! And so, tell us a little bit more about lupus in general, and for you, what are some of the things that you now know were warning signs, and that maybe others watching can take heed to, and kind of say, "Hey, I may need to go and talk to somebody about this."
Lupus is a revolving door. One that you wish would stay closed, because once it's open, it's like, hey, everybody, come on in, and it just opens you up to any and everything. I started off with just lupus. Then there's fibromyalgia, pulmonary fibrosis, my newest diagnosis, which is atrial septal defect, which is a heart disease. Okay. So it's like literally, it's like inviting
other things
to the rest of the ailments in the world. Lupus mocks a lot of other diseases, so most times it takes them forever to diagnose it because it literally mocks everything else. Like, you have to be looking for it. You have to be very specific in what you're looking for in order to diagnose it. It causes the body to attack itself. So all those great, good things that you think are supposed to protect you, everything is the enemy.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with lupus.
And we're thankful that you're here to be able to, I know you are, right? To be able to share awareness about lupus. I know that's one of the things that you do, and we'll talk about that shortly, but also to encourage other people who may be struggling with that. And when we say defying, the definition of defying is basically perplexing, unexpected, and a mystery. If you're talking about, how you defy, some people don't really have an answer. Sometimes we just do, and things just happen. But for you, how did you overcome this?
I woke up one day and I listened to my children having this conversation. And at this time, my youngest was about 2. And I was having one of those bad days, which I had been having bad years at this particular point. And I heard the youngest one crying, so I want my mommy. And my oldest son was like, no, you can't go up there. Mommy's having a bad day. And you know what she's going to do when you open her door? She's going to yell. And I'm listening to them, and I'm like, am I that bad? But I was depressed. I was angry. I was in denial. You know, I had all these emotions going on. So I really had to sit back like, well, you're going to have to get it together because they're watching you.
Yeah.
And once that happened, I kind of got up and I was like, no, we're not going to do this. And I just decided that I was no longer going to be a victim to that or anything else. I figured if I got that far in my life, I had gotten through all the hard parts, and that it was either deal with it or let it take me out of here, because I flatlined twice. So it was bound to take me out of here if I kept going the route I was going.
Wow. And so that's powerful that you were able to do that, and understanding the motivation being that conversation between your boys. How did you, I guess, get to that? You were there, but how did you get going? What did you do? What things did you have to change or implement to be able to now, okay, I'm not going to allow this to take me out of here. Let me do this. What was your this?
I started doing a multitude of things. I put out my first poetry book, Still Standing, which was just a compilation of thoughts. I never intended to really put it out as a book. It was just kind of something, some doodling I was doing just when I was in the mood.
Sounds like it was therapeutic. It was your journal.
Very, for me. Yeah. You know, my therapist wanted a diary, so she knew what it was I was thinking about. But for me, I've always been a very controlling person. I'm a Sagittarius. I can't help it. And I don't like being told what to do.
Okay.
Which is why I own my own company, so I don't have to take directions from anybody.
Okay.
But for me, you know, lupus already has a big controlling factor in my life. Because if I wake up in the morning and I'm in pain, I just can't do it. And there is no pushing through it, because if I push through it, then I run the risk of not being here. Yes. And that will put my husband and my children through a lot of anguish, which I think would be selfish on my part. So, you know, I just kind of have to go with the flow of what my body is doing. Okay. And so I just kind of, the things I can't control, I make up my own rules. So instead of staying in the bed or in my pajamas all day, I get up in the morning. I may do my makeup. I may do my hair. Okay. I always keep my hair done. I always keep my nails done. Those are like my solace. Okay. I feel like if I get up in the morning and I want to leave out the house and just be normal, I can do that because nobody knows what I'm dealing with if I don't tell them. I tell people all the time I don't look like any of what I've been through.
Yes. So what I hear is that you looked at the things that you can control, and you've made a conscious decision to focus in on those things and doing the best that you can with that, instead of trying to manipulate and do the other pieces as well.
Believe it or not, I sat through a 6-hour chemotherapy treatment yesterday morning, and I'm sitting here talking to you now.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Yes,
I do what I want to do as much as I can,
and what you are allowed to do.
Right. If I can do it, I do it, and if I can, I'm like, okay, you got this one. Don't think you're gonna have too many, but you got it.
And you know, we talk about releasing and letting go, and that's very difficult for a lot of people. Sagittarius or not, you know, we have that personality where we want to do and we want to look like this, and it has to go like this. Throughout this process for you, have you ever asked, why me?
Oh, I did that. I did that for years. And that kept me in a dark room with black curtains at the windows, watching Netflix all day. I had to let that go, too, because I look at it this way. At first, it was there's so many people who don't care about their life, who are just completely content with screwing it up. We have, I mean, I'm serious. You're right. Is the way I thought about it. I'm like, we have people who use drugs who just don't care. You have people who drink themselves away. You know, I looked at my situation and I was like, I got married. You know, I had kids. I'm in college. I moved across the country. I was living in England. I was living the life you would think at 25. You know, my friends were like, how is it living overseas? I'm talking to people on Facebook from across the water. I'm like, my life is perfect. It was a wrench. It was just like, you know, why are you here?
It was not part of the plan.
It was not part. My plan was to be an FBI agent. I was supposed to be kicking in somebody's door right about now. That was my plan. But clearly my plan wasn't God's plan. And it just is what it is. But then, you know, when you think about it on the opposite end, if I wasn't as strong-minded as I am, would I be able to handle this? To place this on somebody else, they may not have been able to handle it.
So then you ask the question, why not me?
There you go. Yeah. Actually, my dad said, why not you? And I was like, what you mean by that? What kind of foolishness is that? You're supposed to be on my side.
Yes, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but this lifestyle is not for the weak. I just turned 30. I have 7 diagnoses. I didn't even blink when they told me I had a heart condition. I'm like, oh, okay, I've lived with it for 30 years. Now what? Yeah. And that's just kind of how I look at a lot of things at this point. I used to cry every time I got a diagnosis. And, I got to take more pills. And, I got to sit through all these hours of chemo. And now I'm just like, oh, this goes with the equation. Something else for me to talk about.
Yeah. And, you know, people say if what you're going through is so big and so grand right now, that the blessing on the other side of the through has got to be.
It's got to be A1.
The bomb, right?
Yes, I'm waiting on it. I'm waiting.
I'm sure that you are. And I heard you say you're a therapist. And so I'm glad to hear that, because you mentioned depression and you mentioned suicide. And I heard you say therapist and journaling and talking. And so for the viewers out there, whether they're dealing with lupus or any other,
therapy is great. I saw a therapist for 2 years. I got diagnosed 5 years ago. Now I'm just cool. But I did see a shrink. Okay. Yes, I'm black, and I saw a shrink.
Yep. Yeah, I know how I feel about those stereotypical words, but that's what we think.
It's the truth. So, unfortunately, statistically, black people don't like going to see therapists. They're like, "Oh, I'm not telling nobody my business." Well, you better tell somebody something before somebody be reading your eulogy, and it just is what it is.
And so I appreciate you sharing that, because we as a community do need to understand that there's no weakness
at all
in having those conversations.
I think the weakness is being selfish enough to commit suicide when you could have avoided it prior to. I tell everybody I've never been suicidal because I always think about my children and my husband and my family. But I've woken up on plenty of occasions like, I'm still here in this mess. To me, it was a nightmare. I'm just like, I'm going to wake up and this is a joke. Yeah. And that's how I felt, at least for the first year or two. Like, they're going to tell me they had the wrong diagnosis and I got some kind of flu that's causing my body to be in all this pain. Like, something has went terribly wrong.
And that's the grieving process.
Oh, yeah.
So what I hear you talking about is the denial. You were in that stage of denial. And so there's so many different emotions and things that we think of and that we feel when we're going through something that is a loss. This disease created a loss of the life that you thought you would have.
That I thought I was going to have. And this is another, the title Flatline is so literal in so many different aspects. There are 2 parts to the book. I flatlined twice, one in 2010 and once in 2012. If it wasn't for my son, probably wouldn't have lived, because my 5-year-old called 911. And the funniest thing is he's on the phone and I can hear him, but I can't respond. And he's like, well, my mommy has lupus and she has fibromyalgia. Wow. But he got close to the point. And they came in enough time, and it was just crazy. But when I came up with that title, I used Almost Doesn't Count for the first one and Resuscitated for the second one, because in the first one I'm like a punching bag. I'm getting all these diagnoses. I'm mad at the world. My life is falling apart. And then in part 2, I've had one of my readers say, I don't like part 2 because Kai, she rude. She say what she want to say. I said, well, honey, you must don't like me too much, because what y'all don't know is that's really my personality. I have a very fly mouth, quick-tempered attitude. Me in part 1 wasn't really me. I didn't really know how to deal with everything. So I sat in the house depressed and I cried.
That was you.
I'm way too strong for that. Yeah. Part 2 is my personality all day.
So needless to say, you are kicking lupus's butt.
All day long, every day.
That sounds great. And so I love also that you mentioned your husband and your children. You have an awesome support team. I do. And that means a lot. And there are people out there who watching who may not have that. Who may not have someone to lean on, to call on, to just reach out and say, hey, I'm not having a good day today. Can you come? Let's go get some ice cream or something.
You know what I tell them? The fact of the matter is you want people to be supportive, but they don't have to be. And you got to learn to stand on your own 2 feet before anybody can possibly begin to understand what you go through. I have a great family support system. I have great friends, that I can talk to all day long. Kenyatta, you know her. Kenyatta has come to my house plenty of times. She'll call me. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in the bed. Okay, wait, have the kids eaten? I'm like, girl, they going to eat some noodles. She's like, no, they're not. Because my husband was in the military for 8.5 years. So I've been here by myself for a couple of years, and he's just come back. So she's come to the house. I'm talking about went in the kitchen, cooked up ribs and all kind of stuff. Plates of food. She's come to the house in pajama pants and sat in my bed and watched TV with me. I have great friends, but I had to love me before I could expect everybody else to love me like I love me.
And accept it.
And there you go. I had to accept what I was going through as well to be able to even explain it and talk to people.
And be open to that love and support.
Right.
Because people love us. So there are people that love us and care about us and they want to be there. But if we're not opening up our hearts and our arms to say, come on, and accepting the fact that we need the help. As much as we may not want it.
Being positive is definitely a plus. It's hard to talk to somebody that's just negative all the time. It's like, well, I'm going through this. And you don't understand. I do, though. Been there, done it. We may not have the exact same disease, but, you know, when you start talking about depression and, oh, I'm in pain or oh, my head hurts, oh, I can talk to you about that all day long.
Yes.
Because rheumatoid arthritis and fibrosis are pain within themselves. And then you go add joint pain from the lupus to the equation. We can talk about pain all day.
So you can have any kind of conversation up and down about struggle.
Everything.
Anybody, right? So now, how did this, you know, diagnosis of lupus, and you said the other 7 now that you're dealing with, how has that impacted your family? I know that they support you.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I get yelled at a lot because I don't ask for help.
Not you.
No.
You don't ask for help?
No. I'm a big girl. No, I do not ask for help. My husband yells at me out. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm good. Don't give me that answer. I'm like, I'm good. Because what I tell him is, with lupus, you have okay days and you have better days. Okay. There's never really just a good day, so where you have no pain at all. And I feel like if I tell you every time I'm in pain, I'll be telling you that every day. And I go through everything and complain of nothing. So
that really is a coping tactic for you.
Probably. I mean, I've learned to just kick back. When I don't feel good, it sounds like Chinese food and TV to me. That's one day where I can tell myself it's okay not to work today. It's okay to just go to sleep or sleep all day, because otherwise I feel lazy. I'm like, I don't want to sit here all day. I got work to do. I have books to write. I have authors to put out. You know, homework with my kids. My boys play football. Like, I'm always into something. This weather is like the devil to me, to anybody with lupus for that matter.
So how does the weather impact?
It's draining. Okay. Anything over 80 degrees, they tell you to try to stay away from, especially if you have lupus. Okay. With the steroids, your skin is thinner. So I do burn. Black girls do burn. I burn very easily. Okay. It causes me to be really, really tired, and with the tired feeling comes a dizziness and a drained feeling. Okay. So it's dangerous. Okay. So but of really course, I'm me. Yeah. I just do what I want. I can't miss football practice. Like,
well, I have to at least put on a hat and some sunscreen.
You want me to lie to you, Nikhol?
We're gonna go to this caller that's on the line. Caller, thank you for calling. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, I'm Patricia. I'm actually from Atlanta, but I had a question for your guest because it seemed interesting when she was talking about going to therapy. And I wanted to know what helped her the most in her sessions, like what was actually said that kind of made the light bulb go off for her to continue pushing.
Oh, very good question.
She was very non-biased. She didn't tell me that it wasn't okay for me to feel the way I felt. She didn't tell me it wasn't okay to cry. She didn't tell me I had to come out of my room in the dark. She just always asked me, well, don't you think it'd be more fun if you took the kids outside instead of made them watch TV all day? Or, you know, don't you think you'd be happier if you got dressed and went to the mall? You know, you're cute. You never know who you might run into. It was always a good girly conversation. It wasn't like a therapy session where I felt like I was being psychologized. It was more like I was talking to my homegirl, and it was just a typical, you got this type of conversation. And that was good for me.
So you were able to find a therapist that you could establish the type of rapport with that felt good.
Right. Because, I was going through a lot. I was angry. And I remember telling her about me. Actually, I flipped the table in her office one day because they brought in another psychologist. And he was asking me the wrong questions that day, which is, why are you mad? What are you mad about? And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. Where's my therapist? Yeah. And he just kept pushing, and I got mad and flipped the table over. And when she came in, I just knew she was going to be like, you know better. She said, girl, I tried to run my husband over one day. I understand. When you don't want to talk, you just don't want to talk. And, it was refreshing for her not to
judge you,
do what my mama would have done. You know, it was like, I get it. You were mad. Yeah. Let's talk like we normally do.
And so that's one of the things that I think is really important, in addition to the fact that Black people do go seek therapy.
Yes.
Is that you have to find the person that works for you.
Right.
Because every therapist doesn't work for everybody.
No.
So if you sit down with someone, the guy asking all the questions, and it doesn't work, you don't just stop and not go back. You go until you find the person that fits you. And
I'm a brat. I like to talk to the same person all the time. From the people at the gas company to I like the extension. I'm going to call you next month and we going to handle my business. And the doctor's offices, the new people come in and they're like, well, Miss Oliver, can I help you? And I'm like, no. Where's Kiki at? Because I've been talking to her for 3 years. I don't want to talk to you.
You're about relationships.
I am. I'm about building solid relationships with people. I've been seeing and talking to whomever for the longest amount of time. When I walk into my doctor's offices, Eb, you got a new book out? Girl, I'm working on one though. You know, because they already know the same. Even with the ER at the Cat Medical, it's that's Miss Oliver. She has lupus. She's gonna tell you what her cocktail is, but we can't talk to her for about 20 minutes because she won't talk while she's in pain. We got it. We in there. It works.
Thank you so much, Patricia.
Patricia, thank you
for that question. Great question. And, you know, that helps you in your care.
It
when
does.
You build those relationships because you don't have to say the same things over and over again every time.
It definitely does, especially when you're dealing with, you know, as many things as I deal with. Because, you know, we do have people in the world who go to the ER just to get pain medicine. And, you know, I've built such great rapport with my doctors. They know if I ask for pain medication, I'm feeling it. I don't even want them to send me home with a prescription because I'm not going to take it. I'm what I call a mommy. Okay. I like to be conscious of what's going on around my house. I like to watch TV with my children. I like to have conversations with them. And when I'm on pain medicine, I'm asleep. I'm groggy. I'm irritable.
You're not able to be present.
I can't do what I want to do. You know, like I said, I go to football practice with them every day.
I said that's that control thing.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah, because when you're on pain medication, you don't really have control.
Yeah.
You know, all of the medication I take are just the ones to keep me alive.
Yes, gotcha.
You know, the steroids keep the inflammation down, which they cause you to be moody. I go through rampages sometimes. My husband be looking at me like, "Really, lady?" But he's gotten to the point where he lets me rage. And then he'll go, "I love you, babe." I'm like, "I love you too." And we good. We in there because he knows it's not purposely done. I take steroids. I get steroids through IVs. You know, some things I can't control, but there are some things that I can. And I prefer to be alert, and I prefer to be able to do what it is I'm supposed to do. If I can't be a mom, then to me, it's all been shut down.
And I can appreciate that as another mom having that conversation because it is difficult when you are not in control and able to do what you want to do with your children.
Right.
You know, so I definitely appreciate that. And so one final question I'd like to ask you. One piece of advice that maybe was given to you, I guess two questions. What was one piece of advice that was given to you that Ms. Oliver didn't like so much and why? And what would you have changed in that advice to give to someone else out there? And let me tell you why I asked that question. Because when people haven't walked in your shoes, they haven't experienced what you've been through personally, they oftentimes say things that they think might be helpful, or they just may say things off the wall that they have no idea can impact you in your overall well-being. So what would that be? What's that one piece of advice that you got that was supposed to help you handle this situation but wasn't really helpful, and how would you have tweaked that for someone out there who needs it?
Somebody told me on the phone, she was a really good friend of mine whom I had known years before I got sick, an older lady. And I was talking to her and I'm like, I'm sick all the time. And this was like in that first 6 months after the diagnosis. And she said, well, the only reason you got lupus and the only reason you sick all the time is because you're hateful. And I said,
oh my God,
excuse me? And she was like, yeah, mean people get diseases like that. I said, you know what?
This is someone that you knew?
Yeah.
Very well.
We have been friends for years. I was friends with her before I got married and before I had my first child. And I hung up on her. Sure did. I'm a Sagittarius. So if I didn't hang up on her, I was liable to say something that I probably would have never apologized for anyways, because I know me. I don't say things I don't mean. I just may not say them at another time because I'm trying not to pacify your feelings. But yeah, no, it wasn't going to go well. So I hung up the phone. But what I did learn later on was that my emotions and my temperament control the flaring. So she was on to something, but she probably shouldn't have said that like that to me. And the funny thing about that is that I've always had a bad attitude, a very, very aggressive temper. And that's something that I had to learn to control over the years. Because the minute you say something, I'm not one of those people that I'll let it compile. The minute you say it, I'm going to let you know that wasn't it.
Okay.
Who are you talking to? Now I just I brush things off. And to me, unless you're somebody important in my life, I'm not going to waste my time arguing with you. I will cut it off and keep on rolling. And that's even with family. Yeah, I have to. That's even with family. I cut people off left and right. I refuse to let anybody get on my nerves.
And get in that space.
Yeah, I just, I've learned to just focus on me and mine. Something else I've learned in church is that once you get married, That's your family.
Yes.
You can cut everybody else. The mamas, the aunties, the cousins, Kiki from around the corner. You can cut everybody off, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Because
if they're not bringing what's
if
needed
they're not
to
bringing
help
what
the
I need,
situation.
right. So I focus in on my household. My husband doesn't stress me. My kids don't stress me. And I feel like anything outside of that is an outside distraction. And either you with me or you're against me, so you have to go.
So what I heard there was that you have to really, truly be in tune with your emotions. And so we say a lot of times that what you think and how you feel can impact your health. It can create health problems, and we oftentimes use that stress, the model of stress, when you're stressing out and how it can create ulcers. But you just said something that I didn't know about lupus, is that your emotions and your thoughts can create flare-ups. So guys, being in tune with your mind and your body and your spirit is so important for overall health. Really, truly.
And even after the flaring, think about this. When you get sick, you get frustrated. You're upset because you can't get up, or you're upset because your head is hurting so bad you can't even flip at that point. Because it just, little do you know, even a migraine, the more you get irritated about that migraine, the worse it'll get.
Wow. Well, Miss Oliver, I am so appreciative.
Thank you.
Again, for you making that journey here and being here with us tonight and being transparent about your journey and your triumphs in defying the odds. Tell our viewers where they can find more information about Flatlined, Almost
Doesn't Count,
and
Flatline Resuscitated.
Yes.
My website is www.authoressksoliver.com. I am on Facebook and Instagram, all authoress KS. I do respond to everybody, even if you just want to tell me you're having a bad day, because I needed somebody to tell me it was going to be okay at some point too.
Wow. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me, Nicole.
Any lasting words, anything? Do you have any events coming up or anything that we should know about?
I do. There is an event that a good friend of mine, A-Marie, has me hosting. It is a breast cancer versus lupus kickball game.
Wow.
And it is posted on my Authoress KS page. My Instagram is posted all over the place. I will not be playing kickball.
I'm already
only because of the lung disease. Okay. I'll get out of breath very quickly.
Okay.
But I will be there. A lot of my friends will be playing. A lot of my author friends. A lot of my my friends that I've known for years. My husband will be playing. I don't think he knows that yet, but I think he knows now.
He knows now.
I'll have my children out there. My whole family is pretty much supportive in all lupus events, so we will all be there having a good time. It's October, so the sun will not be kicking our butts.
But you will have your hat and your sunscreen, right?
You want me to lie?
No, I want you to speak the truth. You will have your hat.
Do you see this hair? I can't put a hat on my head.
Get the cute hat.
No. No. And sunscreen, maybe.
Sunscreen. Okay.
I wear sunscreen to the beach. That's it. Only because I know I'm going to get in the water anyways. And
I'm going to leave that alone. But I'm glad that you mentioned the kickboxing.
Kickball.
Yeah. We're talking about kickboxing.
We might need to go do that, Nicole. I'm
okay. Why that's on my mind?
Because we need to learn self-defense.
Okay. Well, while we're on that, I wanted to talk about the lupus initiatives and the awareness programs that you do. I forgot to mention that. What are some of the different things that you are particularly involved in? It's like the breast cancer versus lupus that people can.
I do any event that's presented to me. Okay. I went to the Columbus Walk for Lupus for the first time for a young lady named Greta, which was like 2 hours away. She called me the night before. Actually wrote me on Facebook, and then she called me and asked me to come. I went. We also did the arena football, which was a free event that they had for the lupus survivors.
Okay.
I went out at halftime, talked a little bit about lupus. I've done the Atlanta Walk for the last 5 years. Miss Bo Talley in Black Pearl Entertainment does a Ballin' for Lupus game every year. Okay. This year was the second one. I went to that, and I was at the one last year as well. Okay. I'm always in support of my luppies. I do a lot better than most people, and I notice that, and that's another reason why I continue to just push the way that I do, because a lot of people text me and call me, I'm having the worst day. I can't get out of the bed, and I'll just sit there like, Lord, you have a different plan for me. Yes. Because I get out of my bed every day, and I'm gone.
That's a blessing. I have a really close girlfriend who's actually been on the show several times, Dr. Letitia Woodley, who has lupus.
I've heard of her, but I never got to meet her.
You remind me so much of her because she's driven and she goes and she does, and sometimes I have to fuss, hey, sit down somewhere, but she's a fighter. She's just
people yell at me all the time.
Take the pain medicine at all.
I went to the Bahamas for a week, and everybody was like, "Are you crazy?"
And she does that too. So and when I say you remind me a lot of her, I see the drive and the strength, and just the passion that you have in regards to continuing to raise awareness and do.
I have to. I want to be the woman that my children marry, and I don't mean literally people, but I don't want them to bring some crybaby woman in my house that doesn't know how to grind and doesn't know how to stand on her own 2 feet and get to it when it calls for it. Because I'm gonna tell them, you take her back to her mama's house and bring somebody else. You know, I want them to see, you know, my strength and know that I didn't let anything. 7 chronic ailments and a medical bracelet at 30 years old. And I'll be like, okay, whatever.
So really, they have no excuse to not get out there and go for theirs.
No, my babies call me a chocolate something amazing, and I live up to that every day.
Oh, well, you are truly our chocolate something amazing. And again, we thank you so much for being here tonight. And with that, I believe it's time for us to get ready to head over to our Mind, Body, and Spirit segment in just a moment. Tonight, we are continuing this discussion on Defying the Odds. We've got a great guest that will, I hope, help shed some more light on lupus from a different perspective, because she's coming from a wellness standpoint, a holistic point of view. And again, it's all about the mind, the body, spirit, and you. So, Lakia, take it away.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Mind, Body, and Spirit segment. I am Lakia L.B. Brandenburg, and each week I highlight different ways for you to incorporate wellness in your everyday lives. It's all about, do you know it by now? Feeding the mind, strengthening the body, and empowering the spirit. And tonight's special guest is going to help us do just that. She is a doctor. The doctor's in the house. She's a naturopathic physician. I can't wait for her to tell us about this. She specializes in providing natural forms of disease management and prevention services. So as we were learning more about lupus, hopefully she can touch bases on this, on how she can help. She is also very passionate about the synergy of the mind, body, and spirit, and believes in the healing of them collectively to enhance the life experience of each of her patients. Her firm belief is that better health equates to a better quality of life, and she is committed to helping the patients in her care achieve and maintain them both. Please help me welcome to the show. I can't wait to talk to her. Dr. Tawana Houston, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
All right, doctor. Now, we're going to have to learn now. I want to learn about a little bit. I want to know about lupus. I want to learn more about all these things that are going on. But naturopathic physician, what is that?
Naturopathic medicine is a very unique form of health and healing where we are combining not just science, but also art and philosophy around healing. We are looking at the root cause of what is going on with the body. So we are not looking to just address the symptoms, because you can quiet the symptoms in the body, but if you have not changed what is happening at the root level, there's no cellular change and the disease is still there. And so as a naturopathic doctor, we are looking at the whole clinical picture and utilizing those natural therapies to stimulate the body's built-in self-repair mechanisms, because our body is designed to do everything that it needs to do to survive as well as thrive. And so when we're working with the body, we are moving all of those barriers out of the way naturally to get the body back to where it needs to be by working with patients with diet and lifestyle, nutritional supplements, as well as botanical herbs, physical medicine such as hydrotherapy, and also just everything that is just a lot less invasive to help the patient get back to their whole health and wellness.
You do a lot. You do a lot. But one thing that you said that struck home was that the body can heal itself. And I often heard that, our body, has everything it needs to heal ourselves from the outside, from the inside out. But for some reason, we run to medication. So are you against medication for healing, or do you just have a more natural approach to it overall?
No, I am not against medication, because it really depends on the patient. And each person is different. It depends on where they are and how far their disease has progressed. And those patients need some medication to get it to a level of management, or else they're right at death's door. And so you want to get a patient at a level of where their disease is being managed, and then naturopathic medicine can come in and support the efficacy, meaning the healing process of the pharmaceutical drugs. And it can also help in terms of helping the patient to titrate down or reducing the amount or the dosage of the drugs, or how often they have to take it. And then there are some patients that can fully progress off of the drugs totally. And so it's just really going to depend on where the patient is when they come seeking help.
So the medication can actually aid in what you want to do with your naturopathic, I guess, procedures or modifications. Now, quick question for you. What are some common diseases that you see come into your practice? We have a young lady, of course, with Nikhol that was talking about lupus and a few other different diagnoses that she had. But what are some common diseases that you see come into your practice?
I see a variety of diseases, but some of the most common ones are going to be the people with chronic illnesses such as hypertension, diabetes. I see a lot of hypothyroid conditions, as well as people with high cholesterol and fibroid tumors and endometriosis and PCOS.
Do you see a lot of African American males or women, or is there a certain dynamic that comes into your office?
Right now, the majority are women.
So how do we, knowing this is like really statistical, and understanding that women are experiencing these diseases and at high rapid speeds in a way, right? So how do we, I guess, start changing our lifestyle? If I've never heard of a naturopathic physician and know that this practice is out there, what can I start doing as a female to start transforming my life?
The biggest thing as a female that you can do is learn to put yourself first.
Okay, I want you to say that again. I want you to look into the camera and say that again. Which camera can she look into? I need you to look into the camera with the red light. Tell them again.
The biggest thing that you can do as a female is put yourself first.
How do you do that?
By realizing that if you are not here, if you are in the bed, crippled over in pain, then nothing else is going to get accomplished anyway. But when you are practicing self-care and eating right, exercising, staying well hydrated, staying positive, then those things that you are doing for yourself are going to transfer over into all aspects of your life, with your family, with your spouse, with your children, with your work, with whatever community involvement you're in, because you are a better you. And a better version of you creates a better family and a better community.
She preaching. Hope you're taking notes. I love it. Thank you so much for that. That was so powerful. So once I realized that I have to take care of me first, but I'm ready to come see you because I'm dealing with an ailment, what is my first, initial consultation? What is going to happen when I come to see you? Because I've never heard of this. So this is a new process for me.
Okay. Well, what happens when my patients come to see me as the appointment is being set, I send them out a comprehensive health history form. And with that form, I am able to assess their entire clinical picture, where they are in terms of their past medical history, their family medical history, their social history, their mental, emotional history, what's happening in diet and lifestyle and environmental, because all of these things are impacting the health in so many different ways. And so when I get an understanding of their various exposures, then when you come in and we're going over this in more detail, and we develop a plan of what is it going to take, because many people come with comorbidities, meaning they're not just dealing with one disease, but as the young lady mentioned earlier, there's a multitude of diseases that will arise out of one. And but because as a naturopathic physician, and I'm looking at the root cause, when you begin to rebalance the body, it is not just affecting one disease, it's creating healing throughout the whole body. And so I'm looking at your clinical picture, and we're creating a plan to optimize your health and wellness.
So powerful. You sound like a doctor. Just so thorough. Now, how did you become so passionate about this line of work? Of course, being a doctor, I know there were years of schooling. So tell us a little bit about your journey of how you got to where you are today.
Well, my background is in pastoral care and counseling. I have always had a call on my life to service. I love helping people. I love helping people live a better quality of life. And through my years of serving as a pastoral care counselor, I got to know clients in terms of what they were dealing with on a mental emotional level. But as time went on, I began to see how some of their dietary choices, their lifestyle choices was also influencing their physical health and different ailments. And I wanted to learn more about, well, I want to be able to help them not just on the mental emotional level, but also on the physical level. And so that was the beginning of the journey of going to a accredited naturopathic medical school to become licensed and just to become educationally trained and clinically trained to understand the physiology and the biochemical makeup of the body so that I could really help them mentally, physically, and emotionally and spiritually.
Love it. Were there anyone in your family, or is there anyone in your family that maybe suffers from one of the common diseases that you're maybe more passionate about of actually helping to cure? Is the goal of naturopathic service, or that is, how would you say that? Was it like a medicine? Is that an opportunity to cure a disease, or just control it or balance it? What exactly would it ultimately lead to?
It would ultimately lead to both or either or. And once again, that's really going to depend on the patient. Everybody is treated like an individual with naturopathic medicine. The patient, their level of commitment, because you have some people that may just want the pill or they may just want it. The pharmaceutical drug. They may just want to feel a little better and do a few things naturally, but not willing to commit to doing everything that is going to take to heal completely naturally. And once again, it's going to depend on where they are in the disease process when they come to you. If they've been dealing with it for years and years, it's just really going to vary on the person.
So why not just send them back to a regular old doctor if they don't want to go through the process of the natural healing? Like if they just want the actual medication, why not just send them to a regular doctor?
Well, sometimes it's not a either or. I work integratively with other medical doctors. As a naturopathic physician, I'm working with other medical doctors. And so there's some things that the medical doctor may be doing with them and some things that I may be doing that the medical doctors do not have time to go deeper into, because since I do have a background of pastoral care and counseling, I do a lot of wellness counseling as well. And so that takes time in terms of understanding and unfolding some of the mental emotional connections to why this disease has manifested in the first place.
Hold that thought, Dr. Houston. I believe we have a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Thank you so much for calling in today. Tell us your question or your comment.
First, my name is Steve. I'm calling from New Orleans. I've been listening to the show. This is my first time actually hearing about a naturopathic doctor.
I studied too.
All right, I'm sorry about that. But my question is, I want to know about the different unique approaches that you might take towards a client that is actually non-traditional. So what type of actual methods or actual things do you actually do with your clients?
Just making sure I heard you correctly. What are some things that you do that are non-traditional approaches to dealing with your clients or your patients in this case?
I would say the biggest non-traditional approach that I do with patients is I sit down with them for an extended amount of time and listen. Your typical appointment with the doctor is going, if they're double booked, it's 7 minutes. If they're regularly booked, it's about a 15-minute appointment. Appointments with me are going to last approximately an hour 15 minutes, because it's requiring more time to understand your full clinical picture, because only you can tell me what's going on with you. And you have the answers that I'm looking for, because 80% of diagnosis is patient history. And so if I haven't taken the time to fully understand your medical and social history, then I'm not able to make the best recommendations in terms of what is going on and what is it going to take to get you well at the root level.
So it sounds like when I come to you, be truthful. And would you find yourself that a lot of, just like our special guest with Nikhol was saying, that a lot of women or a lot of just African Americans don't feel that therapy is a good thing? Do you feel that is the same thing when it comes to, their medical health and, just going to the doctor?
Yes. Unfortunately, as women, our priorities tend to be misconstrued in terms of our health. It's like looking good on the outside. It's like, we'll spend hundreds of dollars on hair. We're getting our manis and petties every week. We have a $200 handbag.
Pastor is preaching. The pastor is preaching. You just put on your pastoral hat. I'm sorry. Go ahead and speak. Speak to him.
And so we have all of these things that is helping us to look fabulous, but on the inside, the most beautiful women will come and sit in my chair, and you have no idea that they have all of these health issues going on. And so until we make ourselves a priority, we make our health something that we value, as opposed to looking good but feeling horrible and everything. It's like you can't take all that stuff with you. I mean, if I'm visiting, if I'm going to your funeral, none of that is going to be in the casket with you. And I hope to not be remembering what you look like, but who you were. And so when we are taking care of ourselves as women, that's going to show just it doesn't require all of that. But if we can do it, and in addition to keeping our health as a priority, then that's great. But if not, make your health the priority versus fashion.
Make your health the priority versus fashion. Pastor, what's your favorite scripture? I don't know why I'm going here. No, what is your favorite scripture on maybe healing or something that you use? Because I know you bring Jesus out when you speak into your patient. I know you do. It's just, I feel it in your spirit. So it's just a part of the healing. And we know Jesus is healing. When I say that name, I feel healing. So what are some, I guess, scriptures or some things you be saying to these high fashion women with these nice bags and Louboutins, and they sitting there in shambles? Go on, tell us.
My favorite scripture that's applicable to this, it would be Romans 12:2. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Speak it again.
Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
And you renew the minds of your patients through this medicine, this process. And you start by understanding. So we're thinking about our thoughts. Can you think yourself to health, a better health?
Yes, staying positive, staying open, just staying on purpose, and being true to yourself is so vitally important, because when we're not, it creates an imbalance within ourselves. And when we are out of balance mentally and emotionally, everything else is out of balance.
Now, the theme for the month is hot and on top, and we've been talking about defying the odds. Now, just really quickly, while we have some time, are there any odds that you've defied in your life that you would want to share to possibly encourage that woman who's still looking at you like, you know what, I want to go see her, but I don't know. But what are those things that you could probably share with the viewers right now?
For my own life, I haven't really experienced any major health challenges. And so as far as defying the odds, the greatest odds that I would say that I have had to defy were academic odds.
Well, you did go to medical school, so I can understand that. I mean, I totally can understand that. But what about if not health issues, what about, relationship, or is there anything that you can kind of share that helped you get to where you are?
what helped to get me where I am is just really a supportive community has been vitally important. Just having people to that believed in me in times even when I didn't believe in myself. People that have been speaking truth and life into me and encouraging me on the way with just so many various trials and tribulations, because I have a strong entrepreneurial spirit. And so just in getting my life going and everything, there's just so many more battles that an entrepreneur is going to face than someone that is going to a job. And so it is during that time that people would just help me to stay focused on the vision. And that helped me to defy the odds.
That's a beautiful, beautiful testimony. And that's exactly what we need. Now, we're running out of time, but I want everyone to know how to get in contact with you. We want to come get our consultations. Are you on Facebook, social media? Tell us everywhere that we can find you, Dr. Houston.
You can find me at www.journeyofwellness.org, www.journeyofwellness.org. And I'm also on Facebook as Journey of Wellness Natural Medicine Center.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Dr. Houston, did you enjoy that, Nikhol?
Good information, mind, body, and spirit. Thank you so much, LB, and thank you so much, Dr. Houston. You know, here on the Nicole B. Jackson Show, we like to shake things up just a little bit. And tonight, we're shaking things up with a new game, a new segment game tonight called Against All Odds. And so we are going to have, of course, Miss Oliver, who joined us earlier, and we're bringing to the stage, Dr. Houston. And we're going to have this game where I'm going to read the phrase against all odds, followed by 2 words. Then I'd like for each of you ladies to say the first thing that comes to mind. It's kind of a word association game, because we talked about the power of the mind and our thoughts and how important it is to think positive thoughts. So when I give you these phrases, against all odds, and I say those 2 words, I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to share what comes to mind first for you. Okay? All right. So this is against all odds. And Miss KS, we will start with you. Okay? Against all odds, success is. Against all odds, Miss Houston, success is.
Being true to thyself.
Wow. Against all odds, family can.
Bring you down.
I wasn't expecting that one.
True.
But it's the truth. Against all odds, family can.
Be your biggest support system.
Wow. 2 sides of the spectrum that are both very true. Against all odds, happiness is.
Everything.
All right. Against all odds, happiness is.
The key to life.
Everything, the key to life. Against all odds, life can.
Throw you a few hooks.
Throw you a few hooks. Against all odds, life can.
Strengthen you.
Wow. Against all odds, dreams will.
Only be fulfilled if you trust it. Well, if you believe in yourself more so.
Okay. Against all odds, dreams will.
Be your reason for rising every morning.
And only if you believe.
Right.
Oh, I love it. Against all odds, people will.
Drive you crazy.
Against all odds, people.
Nikhol, don't laugh at me. I know
People will.
you.
Be mirrors to who you really are.
That's thoughtful, insightful. Okay. Against all odds, I can.
Do anything I want.
Against all odds, I can.
Be all that I can be.
All right. And the final one, against all odds, I am.
Ebony Marie Oliver Abbey.
Against all odds, I am.
Love.
And I love it. I love it. So as you see, guys, in this against all odds, different perspectives, different experiences, but at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong. You know, we talk about everyone trusting their process. You talked about your process. You talked about your process, Dr. Houston, as a naturopathic doctor and helping people recognize their purpose and walking in and trusting their process. And so I think it's not a coincidence that we have a patient and we have a doctor, you know, here helping us understand the ins and outs of defying all odds. And we talked more so today about health aspects. But I hope that you guys out there watching can see how you can take some of the things we talked about tonight and apply them to any odd that you are experiencing in life or any trial, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's career, that you can be all of the things that we shared tonight against all odds. Any final thoughts, ladies?
I think that people should just trust their guts, because the fact of the matter is that doctors are taught on textbooks, not on exact situations. So I've even come into contact with some that are like, well, the lupus is not active. You can't possibly be in pain. And this is all before they knew fibromyalgia was a factor.
Okay.
Or rheumatoid arthritis was a factor. So, you know, Ebony's situation won't be the same as Susie Q. She's not me. I'm not her. My body doesn't work like hers, and hers doesn't work like mine. So I think that people should, you know, trust their mind and their body. Your body will tell you everything you need to know if you pay enough attention.
Yeah, but you had to be paying attention.
You have to pay attention.
You had to pay attention, and you had to know.
Right. I was very persistent. I knew there was something wrong with me the first day I walked into the doctor's office with the first bit of pain, and I stayed on top of it until I had an answer.
That's awesome. Awesome. And Dr. Houston, any lasting words from you?
I just want to say that it is important that people trust in the healing power of nature. There is a place for all kinds of medicine, all types of powers of healing energy and resources. And if we return to that which was given to us, there would be a better outcome in terms of not just having better health, but having a better quality of life, because that's what it's all about.
It's so true. So true. At the end, if you don't have the quality, then what is it all for anyway? Right. You know, you don't want to be here and not have the quality to be able to enjoy the different things and the fruits of your labor. And so, as always, we say here, you know, we want you to be open to the topics that we have here. Be open to the discussion that you hear. You may not agree. You may not like it. You may not even understand a lot of it. But we hope that tonight you gain some insight on how you can be better, do better, and feel better, and work diligently to defy the odds. Remember that whatever you've been through, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're going through, it doesn't matter. Whatever you will go through in the future, it doesn't matter. It does matter, but it doesn't matter, because if you trust, know, and believe that your healing is just a journey away, you can always remain hot and on top and defy the odds. We thank you so much for joining us here tonight at the Nikhol B. Jackson Show. Join us next week for our final show of season 1. We're having a party, y'all, so y'all definitely want to be here. And if you can't be here live in the studio, be sure to make sure you tune in to watch the show. We appreciate you for being our supporters and being here. We want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Plug Me Into You Radio. Of course, we'd like to thank People TV. We want to thank American Honey Company, Southern Boutique, and Lyrics Cozy Kitchen, our hospitality sponsors who take care of our team each and every Wednesday. And again, special thank you and shout out to Dr. Tawana Houston, to K.S. Oliver, and to my awesome ride or die, my Gail, author Lakia Brandenburg, LB. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
Let me hear it now.